What's good, y'all? It's your boy Bio Spider 3.0, keeping the action going with the Power Rangers Dino Thunder White Talking Thunder Power Ranger from Bandai. This is going to be a retro review, all right? Of course, this is a throwback figure. I think this figure probably came out, if I had to guess, like 2003, 2004. It'll probably say on the back of the package, but if you guys, I'm sure you guys know by now, but to all of those that are new to my channel, if you don't know, this guy is my favorite, suit design in all of Power Rangers. Like, honestly, I haven't got through all the seasons. I'm still like in the process of watching, all the Ranger series in order. Um, I left off on Dino Thunder, even though I've seen that season, plenty of times. But I, left off, watching it. I didn't get through all the way through the end. But of course, I know what happens. But yeah, this guy, I haven't seen a Ranger, like any other Ranger outfit that speaks to me as much as this one. Like any other Ranger outfit that I like quite as much as this guy right here. Yeah, it's just my all-time favorite Ranger design. So you guys know pretty much any excuse that that I have, to get another one of these figures, whether it be the old Bandai figure or I've got the Lightning collection. Obviously, I have the Legacy one, and we'll see comparisons with those with this guy later. But yeah, man, I always find an excuse to get this guy. Really, the main reason I picked this guy up is actually because I wanted to get a new Drago Sword accessory, because this is the one that I used for my Lightning collection figure, which this one came with one of the older Bandai figures as well. It's actually here, I'll show you. It's this one right here. And this was the Dino Action White Ranger. It had like a little gimmick, a feature where you squeeze his legs and he would kind of like swing. And he came with both versions of the Drago Sword. So I like the overall sculpt of the ones that came with this guy better than the ones that we got with the Lightning collection, which is, this one, the one I have in his hand right now. The Lightning collection, they gave it to us in the extended mode. It had some okay detail on it, but it was really lacking quite a bit. All they really did was add like a little gold paint to, the stripes down the sword. But, we're missing the black down the middle, obviously. We don't have any gray for the extended blade. And then there's no red for the eye of the Drago head. And the sculpt on the Drago head itself is a little bit soft. So, yeah. This just wasn't my favorite, sword accessory. I thought it could look a lot better. And I also like how Bandai handled, the overall sculpt of their sword back in the day, which is why I used this right here. So yeah, this is like the extended version that came with that one I just showed you, that other Bandai one. And I obviously added some paint to it. These were molded in all white, so they actually had even less paint than the Lightning collection one originally. But I used a gold Gundam marker to kind of paint the gold parts, stripes going down the sword itself. Added a little black paint, which you can see is faded, so I'm gonna have to touch that up again. And yeah, but I wanted to get a different Drago Sword accessory and try painting it with a slightly lighter color, because even with the gold Gundam markers, like when you first apply the paint, it comes out looking, nice and shiny and gold, but as it dries and like over time, it gets a little more, I guess, bronze or like dark brown looking, which, is somewhat like show accurate, because I guess like the gold that they use in the show was a little bit, it kind of played off of the light. So depending on how much light was shining on it, sometimes it would look more like, say, this one right here, like a little bit, like a lot brighter of a gold. And then, in darker lighting, it would look more like this. So, this was okay for me, but I wanted to see, maybe how it would look with a lighter color. So I didn't want to like paint over this one. So I wanted to get a new Drago Sword accessory. So, and it's pretty hard to find these sold by themselves. So I figured I'd just go ahead and pick up the actual figure, and that way, I'd have that extra option. But being that I am collecting a lot of the retro Rangers from Bandai, like back in the day, the original Ranger releases, you saw I had the we started with like Lightspeed Rescue. We had the Lightspeed Rescue Bandai Rangers, and then I have, of course, all of the Ninja Storm Ninja Flash, Bandai Rangers from back in the day. And those are all like the basic figures in the line. So for Dino Thunder, instead of doing like a light up feature, what they did for theirs is they have a lot of them have a talking action feature like this. So in the middle, you can see in his belt, he has a button that you press, and there was a little Dino sticker right here. It came off, but it basically said like "Try me," and it has like a cutout, in the packaging so that you can press the button. And his talking feature does still work, which is, I'm happy to report. So here, hopefully you guys can hear that. When we get him out of the packaging, obviously you'll get a better look at that and you'll be able to hear it a lot better. But yeah, this is how the front of the packaging looks, which I think is really cool. I really like the old retro style of packaging that Bandai did. It definitely reminds me of when I was a kid and would go to Toys R Us and would like see these type of packages. I like that it has like the Dino insignia as like the shape for the the plastic. I think that's really cool. Love the Power Rangers Dino Thunder up top. The artwork looks really cool. This artwork for Connor, I gotta say, looks pretty. It makes him look more menacing than he actually does in the show. So I thought that was interesting. Like something about like the helmet design and the jagged teeth of the T-Rex. He looks a lot more menacing than the actual like helmet does in the show. So just wanted to point that out. But yeah, you got Ethan and Kira, right behind him in the back there. Bandai, ages 4 and up, so on and so forth. And then it says collect weapons to form the Phantom Power Ranger. I actually saw someone that had like the full collection of all of these Rangers, and then this was basically like Build-A-Figures back in the day. Before Hasbro started doing their whole Build-A-Figure line. Bandai was actually, I didn't even realize when I was a kid, but Bandai was kind of doing that, even before Hasbro. You would get pieces with certain, Ranger figures, and then you could put them together and build something. So in this case, it's going to be the Phantom Ranger. All right, so there you go. And then here's a look at the back. And these are all of the Rangers in the talking line. So you have the blue Power Ranger. You got all the core Rangers. So blue, red, yellow, black. You got Tommy, and then of course this is the one we got. Now obviously there isn't going to be quite as much paint apps on this figure as what's shown on the back, which is a little unfortunate, but it is what it is. Bandai tended to do that a lot back in the day with these figures, but they are still very nice figures for the most part. And then you have down here some other figures in the line. You have the Triassic Ranger. You got Zeltrax, which I have. I am missing some of his weapons though, so I'm gonna have to get those soon. And then we have the different Triptoids. We have a black Triptoid and a white Triptoid. And then here is what the Phantom Ranger looks like, and more or less when you put them all together. This is what he's gonna look like when you get all the Rangers in the line and put together all the pieces. So yeah, there you go. And it says right there, talking Dino Thunder Power Ranger. Each Power Ranger speaks a unique phrase. So yeah, they all say something a little bit different. I heard that Kira actually doesn't have a talking feature, which is strange. I don't know why she was the only one to not get one, but I guess she doesn't have one. But yeah, and then on the back, it just gives you a basic bio or read up top right here, the Dino Thunder story. And I'll read it to you now. It says, when an evil paleontologist unleashes his incredibly strong and intelligent dinosaurs, a high school teacher must reignite his secret past as a Power Ranger and recruit 3 students to help him. But can a rebellious soccer star, an independent musician, and a champion gamer become superhero rangers in time to tame the dinosaurs and vanquish evil? So boom, there it is. That is a look at the packaging for this, guys. So without further ado, let's go ahead and unbox and get a better look. I'll show you guys what that Dragon Sword looks like up close. I am gonna try to keep the packaging pretty intact because I do like the Bandai packaging a lot. I tried to do the same thing for the for the Ninja Storm Rangers that I got, those older retro figures. Yeah, let's go ahead and get him out. Slowly separate the plastic from the card. All right, that came out pretty easily. Wow, and it even says down here in the left corner, it says watch on ABC Kids, or ABC Family. And that's, I remember ABC Saturday mornings, if you know, you know. But they used to show, you know, episodes of Dino Thunder and Ninja Storm like early in the morning. I remember that's kind of how I used to catch most of their episodes back when, you know, Jetix was just becoming a thing. Man, ABC Saturday mornings, bro. If you know, you know. Good times. All right, here we go. Let's go ahead and get them out. Okay. See how he's looking. Cool. All right. Alright, so I'm going to put the Drago sword in his holster. Yeah. Hit his talking feature by accident there. The Drago sword, okay, there we go. Alright, so there he is out of the packaging. And let me get out his accessory thing. Alright, cool. So here's his little accessory. This way. Alright, so here he is. Here's an up close look. Now, unfortunately, I'm seeing that like out of the packaging. When he was inside the packaging, I did notice like certain parts of him looked like the white was turning a little bit yellow. But I was thinking that that was just the outside of the plastic, because you know sometimes the plastic covers, like the older plastics that they use, would turn yellow over time. What is this? He's got a little something right here. I'll wipe that off. Okay, came off his leg, but yeah, but when I would look through the little opening where you could hit his, you know, his button on his belt, it seemed like that was just an illusion. It seemed like, you know, when I would look through there, it seemed the white would match more of like what's on his boots, this nice bright white. And it looked like that color was consistent, you know, all throughout. So I thought it was just the plastic playing like tricks on my eyes. But now that I got him out of the packaging, yeah, it does seem like the upper part of his leg and some of his torso are, you know, in kind of like that more yellowish tinge, which, you know, isn't great, but, you know, it is what it is. Not too bad. Most of the white on him does look pretty nice, like for the shield, all of his arms, the lower part of his legs, like the boots and, you know, going down, all of that looks pretty good. And then you have on the back, yeah, it's not so bad on the back, just a little bit of that yellowish color kind of like on the lower back, and then just like, you know, in the upper part of his leg, but the rest looks pretty nice and bright white, so that's good. Definitely matches that Dino Thunder look for the suit. And I really like the colors on this guy. Like, I didn't realize just how nice the colors were until I saw it in person. I gotta give that to Bandai. You know, Bandai actually did do a pretty good job, solid job with their coloring for a lot of these Rangers back in the day. Even if the sculpts, you know, weren't the best. You know, obviously we have this, you know, more muscular, overly muscular sculpt, which is not accurate, of course, to Power Rangers, but at least the paint is good. You know, I think as long as the paint looks nice, it's still like, you know, worthy of getting in a collection. It's gonna be a nice, you know, figure to look at. And one thing that I like how they handled this figure is that they actually sculpted the black parts of his costume. So they're actually, bring him in close, you can see they're like sculpted and raised a little bit from the white. You can see like some of the black paint didn't quite reach, the ends here. So you can kind of see like that white line kind of separating it from, the rest of his leg. But I do appreciate that they sculpted the black parts over the white, because it actually does make it stand out a little more. If you look at this old one, this Dino action one, you can see they just, did a flat paint job, no sculpt work. They just painted the black over the white, which, I mean, it still looks good, but I feel like at least for this figure, the sculpting definitely does go a long way. It actually does make it look better, I think, over the white. And yeah, you can see that even through the arms, it is kind of like raised from the white. And you got that really nice, glossy black paint. So it really pops. And yeah, the colors on this guy just look amazing. And like I said, originally I picked him up mostly just for the Drago sword, because I wanted to try to paint it in a lighter color scheme to see which one I liked more, so that I could use it for my Lightning collection figure. But after getting this guy in person and seeing the shield, I really like the colors of the shield and just like the overall look. And I happen to follow a guy on Instagram, Ultimate B3. I'll put his link in the description in case you guys want to check him out, follow him, check out his photos. He's a really good, figure photographer. And I remember he has a new account that he started maybe like a few years ago. His old account that I used to follow unfortunately got hacked, so he lost that whole page and like all the photos. He had so many good photos on that first page that he had, but unfortunately a lot of them are lost. So he started a new account, and I think he was able to recover like quite a few of his old ones, but he did obviously lose quite a bit too. But he still has some really solid photos on there. And I started, once I got this guy in person, I started thinking about one of his old posts that he did where he took the shield of this guy. I'm pretty sure it was this one. It was either this one or it was, let's see, this one right here, which I'll move him out of the way. This one that I put on my Lightning collection figure just to see how it looked. But it actually, this shield that's on him right now, it came with this guy. That's why this guy doesn't have a shield, in case you were wondering. I took it off of him and I put it on my Lightning collection figure just to see how it fit, because I remember Ultimate B3 posting a picture where he swapped the shields, and he was asking the question like, which shield looks better, the one from the Bandai releases or the one that they gave us in the Lightning collection, which is a bit bigger in size, which would be this one right here. This is the one that originally came on this Lightning collection figure. I just took it off. I'm gonna need to touch it up very, very soon, because you can see it's starting to get a very dirty kind of grainy look in the front. Like that white part the white is not looking so good on there. Same thing is actually happening to the figure itself. You can see like a little bit on the torso, and then on the upper part of the legs, it's starting to get that dirty look that it had when I first painted it the first time around. So what I'm gonna do this time when I repaint him is make sure I put some primer over it first, and that way the paint will stick a lot better, and hopefully it won't get this dirty look that it's gotten over time. Yeah, these little black spots are basically just from the shield when I took it off. Some of it kind of like stuck to him. I think I didn't put enough sealer or whatever, so some of that kind of stuck when I took the shield off. And then I got this like annoying blue spot right there. I don't know why it's blue, but for some reason I have like a blue spot here. But yeah, I'm gonna repaint this guy really soon. Gonna touch him up and make him look a lot better. But yeah, there it is. So that's one of the things I want to do, is I want to swap out the shield from this guy that I just picked up, because I do really actually like the colors. And this is one of the releases where they actually painted like all the coloring right. So you can see the spikes on the shield are black, and then it has the nice gold border, even though this is more of a bronze color. But again, sometimes with the lighting on this guy, sometimes the gold like trims around his shield, or just the gold in like any parts of his costume, or like the Drago sword, sometimes they look a little bit darker depending on how the light is. And so I actually really do like how the colors on this shield came out. And So yeah, I wanna take this one off. You can see it actually is kind of loose. This is how it looks from the back. It's got these two porthole things, which are going to be a little bit annoying, but it's for the gimmick, because you have, he comes with this little wing thing that he did not have in the show, but Bandai like to just give you extra parts and stuff. But this one is actually functional, or like it's there for a reason, because this is gonna ultimately help you make the Phantom Ranger. So I get it, but I mean, this is a pretty nice looking piece, overall. It's got decent black paint, or black color, and then the bronze kind of similar. It's got like some claws that kind of resemble like the ones on the Dragozord, but that's pretty cool. But yeah, enough about that. But yeah, this is like a loose piece, so it just kind of like floats around. It's not pegged in like the one for the Lightning Collection. So I want to actually take this shield off and put it on my Lightning Collection one, just to see how it looks, because I like the coloring on it so much. So I'm gonna try that real quick. See if it'll come off of here. It might be a little tricky getting it over the head. That's the part I'm worried about, because his head is a little bit big. Let's see. Oh, okay. So it seems like this shield actually, the Bandai one, has two pegs on the top. So they actually peg into like, kind of like by his shoulder area, instead of from the back like the Lightning Collection. So it actually does peg in, but it's kind of like a loose, I guess, fit. It doesn't plug in super tight. Let's see, I'm trying to get this shield over his head. I don't want to stretch it out too much, but I need to get it off of there. Dang, yeah. Easier said than done. It is tricky getting it over his head, just because it's so small. But let's see. In the meantime, let's see, where did it go? Okay, here it goes. The Dragozord also, by the way, I've noticed has a very loose fit in this holster that they gave him. So I mean, it fits, but it slides out, it falls out very easily. But anyways, here's a closer look at the Dragozord that came with this one that I just got. And I do really like the sculpt on this one. I think this one is actually a little bit bigger in size compared to the one that came with the the one with the gimmick, the Dino action one. Because I actually was like messing around before I even unboxed this guy. I was messing around, like I kind of like stuck my finger in the opening, and where the Dragozord, this one, where when it was placed inside the package, I was actually able to reach it with my finger, and I kind of like moved it until I was able to grab it, and I pulled it out. And I just wanted to do like a size comparison with this old one, and it seems like this one that I just unboxed is actually a little bit bigger, the sculpt. Yeah, it's actually a little bit bigger in size, I would say. Let's see if I can hold both of these so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Let's see. Okay. It doesn't look like it, and I don't think like it's by too much, but I would definitely say this new one is just slightly bigger in scale than this old one. I'm trying to hold both to where you can see the difference. It's hard to show it, but yeah, this, hopefully you guys can kind of tell. Like I think this all white one here, I think is a little bit bigger than this one. Just the sculpt, it is upscaled a little bit, so that's just something to point out. I think even like the thickness from the side is a little bit thicker than, say, this one right here. See that? See about how thick that is, and then compared with this one, I think it's just a little bit thicker. So bigger and a little bit thicker from the sides. But yeah, that is the new Dragozord. So I'm thinking about I definitely want to paint this one up again with a lighter gold so I can see how that looks. And if I like it more, I'll probably end up using it for my Lightning Collection figure. And then if I really like it, like if I really like the lighter color, I might go ahead and repaint over the extended version as well. This one that came with the Dino Action one, so that they match, so that he's got both versions. But yeah, I definitely have some repainting that I need to do on both the swords and my figure. But I just bringing this figure back in, since this is, you know, the main topic here. I do actually really like how this figure turned out again. And like, if this, you know, if the white part of the plastic didn't yellow, this would be like a really, really nice figure. I mean, it still is, but you know, that yellowing color kind of throws it off, unfortunately. So if it was able to maintain that, you know, nice bright white all the way throughout, it would look even better. But I mean, even as is, it does look pretty nice. Like, even from the back, like, they did a pretty good job putting all the black in there. So that looks really good. Definitely looks a lot better than this one did from the back. You know, there's a lot of like paint missing on this one, this Dino Action one. So, but you know, one unfortunate, like the main kicker about this older one, and it seems like, you know, basically with all of the older Bandai releases of this guy, is that they never were quite able to get the head sculpt right. So the visor was always off. And even as a kid, I noticed that, like, I would see it at like Toys R Us or wherever. And then when I looked at it, I was like, that doesn't look like how it looked in the show. And this was pretty much like the only Ranger I ever really felt like that about. It seems like all the other Rangers, they were pretty much able to nail the overall look of the visor and like the head sculpt. But this guy, you know, he does kind of have like a tricky visor design, so I do get it. And, you know, I guess with the scale, maybe they struggled a bit. But yeah, this just doesn't have quite the right look as far as the visor is concerned. You know, yeah, but it's okay. It's not like horrible. It's not the worst thing in the world. Obviously, the Lightning Collection one is, you know, the corrected version, I should say, is a improvement over these Bandai ones for sure. And then the Legacy one, I would say, is probably like the best one that Bandai ever put out. You know, it's like a competitor even with the Lightning Collection one. But yeah, just not quite the right shape, or, you know, sculpt and shape for the visor. But I do like that at least, you know, the red is in there. It's a nice glossy red. It's got that like shiny visor look. And then they didn't obviously forget the black outline, because that is super important. So this guy could have looked a lot worse. They didn't make the Hasbro mistake of not putting the black outline, at least. So that part is nice. But yeah, overall, he is a pretty nice looking figure, man. Like I said, I do really like the colors on him. As far as articulation, you know, it's going to be basic stuff. Retro, he's not going to have any amazing articulation, but, you know, the head sculpt does rotate. Oops, I hit that button again. But yeah, you can look side to side. You can actually rotate the head 360. No real tilting or anything. It's really just kind of, you know, side to side as far as looking goes. The arms can go up. They're going to run into the shield, but, you know, it is a soft plastic, so you can kind of push up, and they can go, pretty sure they can 360 windmill like that, all the way around as you push, you know, past the shield. No bicep swivel, because again, this is an older style figure. No bicep swivel. We've got a single jointed elbow right there. So yeah, you get about that much, like that. And then as far as the hands, I don't think these rotate. Nah, no rotation in the wrist or anything. So the hands are kind of in a stuck position, but, you know, that's all right. No torso articulation really. It's just, you know, sculpted. Obviously, he's got the six-pack going like all of the older Rangers. So, you know, he's kind of like buffed out, but no, you know, diaphragm joints or ab crunches, anything like that. And then as far as the legs, these are going to kick forward pretty nice to about like a 90-degree angle, so that's nice. They're going to go back about that much. I keep hitting that button trying to hold him, but yeah, his legs are going to kick back actually decently far, even though they do go out to the side a bit. It's not like a perfectly straight line, but they do actually get some pretty decent range going back. It's actually better than, you know, Hasbro, so that's pretty cool. And then you can see all those screws on the back, right? Old school figure. He actually does have some lower thigh cuts or like lower leg, like just above the knees that you can actually rotate. So you can actually rotate above the knee, which is cool. Those are pretty stiff joints there, nice and tight. You have a single jointed bend at the knee. All right, so same as elbows, you got single jointed like that. And then no foot articulation. It's really just sculpted feet, no ankle rocker or anything, no swivel. But yeah, so very basic articulation, obviously. And then as far as the legs, I mean, he can at least do pretty much a full splits if you really push the legs. You can do basically full splits all the way out to the side. So that's cool. Something that a lot of Hasbro figures, even to this day, struggle with, which makes no sense to me. We're in 2025. Why are figures not hitting full splits, Hasbro? But yeah, so that's pretty cool. No thigh swivel or anything like that. No real rotation in the upper part of the leg, but that's what you get. But yeah, still like an overall very, very nice looking figure. I do like the paint on it. Let's see. They did put the morpher and the holster on the wrong side for some reason. I did notice that when I was watching Dino Thunder, that in some of the early shots, like the very first like appearances of the White Ranger, sometimes they would actually have his holster on the wrong side. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Maybe Bandai was referencing like some of those episodes or something, or they just assumed that his holster, I guess, was on the same side as the rest of the Rangers. But if you watch the show and you pay attention, his holster should be on the left, as well as his morpher. So they put both of those on the wrong side. But at least the morpher actually does have a little bit of paint. For some, let's see, is that silver? Okay, never mind. I thought they put silver for the Drago eye for a second, but that's actually just kind of like a hollow. They sculpted out basically the space for his eye, so it looks silver at first to me. But they did give you some silver paint a little bit at the bottom there for the mouth of the Drago, and then you got the gold up top for the fin, and then the black outline. So that's actually pretty nice. They put a little gold right here, some black in the back. So they gave you a little bit of paint apps, you know, so the morpher won't look too plain. And then you have the holster again on the left side, which is wrong. I might actually switch this. I might take this off and switch it just so it'll be more accurate. But yeah. So yeah, man, overall, not a bad figure by any means. Obviously not great. This is very dated at this point, and it's not gonna really hold up to your modern day figures. But again, if you're somebody like me that does enjoy collecting even like the older original Bandai figures of these Rangers, then this is definitely probably the guy you're gonna want to get. Yeah, it's unfortunate that he only came with the one version for the Drago sword, but you know, that's kind of like one of those things that Bandai would do like back in the day. That's why it would be a little bit hard for me to choose which Ranger to get, or like, you know, which figure to get, because I'm somebody that appreciates, you know, having all versions of like the weapons that are in the show. And so in order to do that with this guy, I would have had to get this Dino Action one, which is what I did as a kid. I did have this guy, but you know, I lost him. So I picked him up again so that I could have both versions of the Drago sword, which, you know, this one and this one, of course. And that's one of those things that Bandai would like, they would make you kind of pick and choose which figures you wanted based on like what you wanted more. Even with the Thunder Rangers, the releases that came with like their you know, their thunder cycles, tsunami cycles, those were like in a weird, like almost battleized like version or look to them, instead of like the standard ones where they're just, you know, regular and then have their thunder staffs. And so you kind of had to like pick and choose which one. And as a child, I chose the ones with the cycles, so they didn't come with their thunder staffs. And I ended up, you know, regretting that for years because I really wanted them to have their weapons, which is why I picked them up again later. And now I have them in the collection. So, you know, as a kid, you know, even though this was like the more accurately painted one out of the two, This one has a lot more color, as I showed before, compared to the Dino Action one. And, just the overall look is a lot more accurate to the show. I probably, as a kid, I did actually pick up the Dino Action one, despite the inaccuracies, because I wanted the weapons. So, yeah, that was one annoying thing about Bandai back in the days, them making you pick and choose. Do you want accuracy? Do you want more weapons? It should just be all in one package, but it is what it is. And it is a shame, like a really big shame, that they never made an SH Figure Arts version of this guy, because this is such a, popular suit. Maybe not character, it might not be everybody's like favorite character, but suit wise, this is a lot of people's, favorite, or one of their favorites. It's definitely like one of the best looking suits, I think, in all the Power Rangers. My personal favorite. I really don't have any suit that beats this one for me. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. Before I get into size comparisons, I just want to try to take off the shield one more time and see if I can get it onto my Lightning collection, because I really want to see what that looks like. Hopefully I can show it on camera. Let's see. Can I get it over his head? I wonder if people just took off the head of this guy in order to get the shield off, because it is big and it's pretty tough to get the shield over his head. Let's see here. Come on, shield, come on off. Come on off. You know you want to. Now, I think this shield might end up being a bit small for my Lightning Collection one, because it's, from what I can tell, it is mostly the same sculpt as the one from the Dino Action. I think it's just slightly bigger. But I remember, Ultimate B3's post where he had this one on the Lightning Collection figure, and it did seem a little bit small, and I was messaging him about it recently, and he did tell me that it was a tad bit small for the Lightning Collection, and that's why he didn't, like it enough to keep it on him, and so he decided to keep the Lightning Collection one. But I don't know, I still really like the colors on this Bandai one, and I think if I can make it fit, if I can get it on him, I think I just might like the overall look better. Because if you think about it, Trent's shield really isn't that big. It's really not. Like, his shield is like pretty streamlined and small. It just, kind of goes over his shoulders and whatnot. But he's a very like slim, very not very bulky armor type of Ranger. So even the chest armor itself is actually like pretty small when you look at it, and it just goes with like his overall look. He's very swift and everything. He's not weighed down by a lot of armor. So yeah, I think this one might end up looking better if I can freaking get it off. Oh man, it's like they really didn't want the shield to come off him. Come on, bro, get off of there. Man, yeah, this is a struggle for real. This head is just it's too big for the shield to want to come off. Come off there. Come on off of there. I'm afraid of like ripping the shield, because it is a soft plastic. I mean, it has a lot of flex to it, but I don't want to damage it. Man. Come off of there. Oh, that's actually pretty cool. I just noticed that his sound box in the back is actually in the shape of like the Dino footprint, the Dino insignia. You can actually like see the whole footprint like leading into the black right here, going down into the white. That's actually pretty cool. Nice little detail. Come on, Shield. Come off. It's nice that they actually did paint the black underneath his shield, because if you didn't know that, he actually does have black like right here underneath his shield. In case you were curious about what his torso would look like, they actually didn't do that on this one, the Dino Action one. They just left it white. So again, more detail on this one, the more accurate. But freaking shield, come off, bro. Trying to swap you out. Man, yeah, this is a tough one. Really trying to stretch that shield over his head. Come on, come on, come on, come on.
Every puppy is a VIP, and every puppy deserves VIP. Give your furry friend a help.
Man, it's just not wanting to come off, y'all. I'm gonna give it one last tug, and if I can't get it, I'll just mess with it some more after the video. We'll jump into size comparisons. Yeah, I'm gonna have to mess with this guy off camera, unfortunately. To try to get this shield off is gonna take me forever. Alright. But while it's still on him, let's go ahead and look at some size comparisons. I'm gonna put the Drago sword that he came with in his hand so that you guys can see him holding it. Alright, and that actually went in very easily, so that was cool. But yeah, definitely I would say a bigger Drago sword than the one that came with that Dino Action one. It does seem bigger in size by just a bit. So here he is holding his Drago sword, alright. And let's go ahead and get into size comparisons, because I brought a lot of Rangers to compare him with. A lot of older Rangers, older and newer Rangers, so that we can get a look. I didn't really bring too much of any, other lines or type of characters. I figured we'd just mostly compare him with, other Rangers, so that we can see what that looks like. You guys know that he's gonna be like a little bit smaller in size, of course, compared to like Marvel Legends and bigger lines, obviously. So I figured we'd just show more Rangers today, and Ranger related people. So first off, here he is with Zeltrax, one of the main Dino Thunder enemies. Alright, so there he is with Zeltrax. And yeah, I guess they scaled pretty well. White is a little bit taller. I guess that's appropriate. I don't know who would be taller out of the two, because Trent and Zeltrax weren't that tall, so I would think if anything, maybe Zeltrax would be a little bit taller, but I don't know. You guys let me know about that. I would say like Zeltrax and Tommy were pretty close in height, and Tommy was definitely taller than Trent, so I would think, Zeltrax would be a little bit bigger, but who knows? Let's see. Let's bring him with another villain. This is Vexicus from the Ninja Flash, Ninja Storm line. Alright, so we got another villain, Power Rangers villain. So there he is with Vexicus, and yeah, he's a little bit taller than Vexicus as well, but not by too much. They're pretty close in height, so I think that looks pretty good. All right, moving them out the way, let's bring in two big boss villains. We have Lothor, right, and Mesogog, keeping the whole Ninja Storm Dino Thunder theme. And you can see Mesogog is, of course, a little bit bigger, as he should be. Lightning Collection closer to true 6-inch scale. These guys are about 5.5. These guys should scale pretty well with like your SH figure arts, 5.5 inch. And then Lothar is definitely a little bit on the shorter side as well. But yeah, Mezagot got that big head, big dome. So he's definitely bigger than the two of them. But I still think they look pretty cool next to each other. Father and son. All right, let's move them out the way. Who else we got? For some more Bandai Ranger figures, we have Lightspeed Yellow. We have Kelsey. And then we have Lightspeed Red, Mr. Carter. All right, boom. So there they are. And yeah, I think they scale pretty all right. I know for a fact that Trent should not be taller than Carter. Carter was like, I think maybe the tallest Red Ranger ever. Like you could really see in Forever Red just how tall Carter was. He was like towering over most of those other Red Rangers. But yeah, despite the size and accuracy, I think overall the scale looks pretty good here. Kelsey's definitely a little on the shorter side. But yeah, there you go. And for some more Bandai Ranger action, we got Samurai Green, we got Cam from Ninja Storm, and then we'll do a henchman this time. We have a Kelzak Fury from Ninja Storm. Alright, one of the red Kelzaks, powered up. And there you go. It seems like Trent so far has been the tallest of all these Rangers. He actually is. He does have a little bit of height over Green. And the Kelzak, is closer in height to him, but still not quite as tall as Trent. So interesting there. Very, very interesting. So move them. Let's see. Let's get the red Ninja Storm Ranger from the Ninja Flash line, as well as yellow Mr. Dustin. Alright, so boom, booyah, you got some more Bandai Rangers there. And yeah, I think the three of them look pretty good. They scale pretty well too. Shane's actually, he's shorter. Dustin is a little bit shorter as well. I think Dustin's actually taller than Shane, or maybe Shane's just leaning forward, I don't know. But yeah, he still seems to be the tallest. That seems to be the trend so far, so interesting. The trend for Trent. Let's see, let's start bringing in some Lightning Collection. So now we have Lightning Collection in Space Black Ranger. This is Carlos, our boy Carlos, and then we'll bring in some Dino Thunder action. So now we have Lightning Collection, Dino Thunder Red. And now you can see just how much different, the scale is. Connor is definitely the biggest of the three, which I think is appropriate. He should be the tallest, I think, out of all these guys. But yeah, there you go. There's some Lightning Collection action for you. Alright, moving them aside, we'll bring in Ethan and Kira. Why not? Gotta get the whole team. So here we have Lightning Collection Yellow and Blue from Dino Thunder, with Trent in the middle there. And he actually scales alright, He's not too much. I mean, him and Kira are just about neck and neck, like pretty much the exact same height. Ethan, I think, probably just a little bit taller. Just a slight bit taller than each of them. But I think you could actually make this work. Like if for whatever reason you weren't able to get the Lightning Collection, White Ranger, and maybe you didn't like the Legacy version, if you have this older version, obviously his articulation is pretty dated and it's not gonna match up with these two. But if you wanted to just throw them in like a display, maybe, I think this would be all right. And obviously that glaring bad helmet design, but Um, you know, and this all white Drago sword. But maybe if you add some paint to it, yeah, you could probably make them fit in there, squeeze them in. So let's move them aside for, let's see, some SH Figure Arts. This is where we get into some real size comparison. So we have the SH Figure Arts Dragon Ranger, aka Mighty Morphin Green. And then we have a Go Rider. We have Mr. Blake. Alright. Ninja Storm, Navy Thunder. Right there. And his knees are a little bit bent, so, you know, the height might be just slightly off, but you get the idea. He actually does